Back in May, I did a video where I said it's good to ask your physicians questions when you have an appointment, or sometimes if you're at home and you notice something, maybe you can call the office or speak to one of the nurses, or you can go through a portal that's not charging you $50 to do it. That's a video from a couple of years ago. Anyway, I made that suggestion because I know most of us as patients, we go see these different physicians or their nurse practitioners or whatever the other thing is called. But we go there and we don't usually ask a lot of questions. Sometimes if something scares us, maybe we do. Sometimes we just don't pay attention. That was pretty much me for most of these years. But in essence, we need to ask questions. So we do what we can. We see them. They make recommendations. You go back and you see them again. I'm type 2 diabetic. So I usually see somebody, either the doctor or the nurse practitioner, every 4 to 6 months. So in this case, I saw them in May. The nurse practitioner, saw some things and we discussed some of the things. She made recommendations for when I should take my evening insulin because she talked about the insulin that I take, which is called, 70-30. And the 30 basically means it's fast acting, which means if I eat something, now it immediately starts attacking that. If I don't eat something, but I take the insulin, then it starts attacking whatever I have in the body. That leads to lows. That's problematic. It's scary. If you've never had a crash during the middle of the night or in the day, then you don't know how scary that can be, but it's really scary. And I was having a lot of crashes at the time. So I listened to what she said. I modified everything. And you think everything is wonderful. So Thursday, I had an appointment there and I meet with the same lady. So they get you in there. They're at a new location, but you go in there. She takes a little blood, which I always hate. Does this little bit of testing. They weigh you. They see, how tall you are. And I've got a gripe with how it was done because supposedly in the last 4 months, I've lost 3/4 of an inch. I'm not on my height. You can't do that. So I think the lady did that wrong, but who cares? So anyhow, the nurse practitioner comes in and she looks at the numbers and she says, your A1C is 5.8. Now, for perspective, years ago, we can go back decades, couple of decades, my A1C was around 11.2. And the physician I had at the time freaked over that. But I hate to say I wasn't taking the fact that I was diabetic seriously, but the internet didn't have all the kind of information you have now, so the only time I knew about anything was when I went to the doctor's office. They didn't have tons of pamphlets to give you on the subject. You could, like I said, you could look things up online, but you really couldn't find much, not like these days. And so I didn't really pay much attention to it. I thought, okay, I will try to see if I can eat better, measure certain things. When it came to dessert, all bets were off. 11.2, horrible number. I had those kinds of numbers until probably, we'll say, the early 2010s. And I had a bad number. I'll say bad. It was around 9.5. It had come down from 11.2, but still, that was considered pretty high. And then I decided it was time to start taking things a little bit more seriously. So over the course of the years, I basically started walking all the time. This was my exercise. And even now, I make sure I walk at least 5.5 miles every day. Sometimes I reach 7. My leg has been hurting, so I hadn't been reaching 7 until just lately. But back in the day, I was going between at least 5.5 up to 10 miles a day walking. So I did that. I started monitoring how I was eating differently. I made sure I kept up with my medication. I still had my dessert, but smaller portions so that I could still, have something, because I ain't giving up my dessert. It's just not going to happen. So over the course of time, I started doing well. So when I had my last appointment, she said, 5.8, and she didn't say anything about it. This time, she sees 5.8, and she's looking at something else, and she looks at me and says, how come your A1C is 5.8? I said, I don't know. That's what it was last time. It stayed there. And it bothered her. And I couldn't figure out, why is my, A1C bothering her at 5.8? anything that is supposedly between 6.5 and 5.8 is supposed to be pretty good. But that was bothering her. It also bothered the doctor the last time I saw her, which was last December. And it makes no sense. I really couldn't figure out why. So we started having this conversation. And she said, well, it's odd in the fact that you've lost 10 pounds in the last, since the last time we saw you. I said, yeah, okay. I've lost some weight. I've modified how I'm eating again. And for whatever reason, it just bothered her. And she said, how much insulin are you taking? I said, I'm actually taking, a little less. I'm not taking insulin all the time in the morning now. So I'm saving it to the evening. And she said, but that can't be good. I said, well, that's kind of how it is. It just seemed to be the way to go. Anyhow, it was interesting how we have these discussions. And even though I'm asking her questions and I'm listening to her and I'm telling her my side of it, sometimes she doesn't necessarily hear everything I say. Today, or Thursday, I finally said to her, okay, stop. Let me tell you what's going on, because then you interrupt me and then I can't tell you everything. I need to know that you're listening to me as much as I'm listening to you. So I tell her how I'm doing things these days. I don't always eat breakfast. Sometimes I wait until lunchtime before I have my first meal, because I didn't want to eat early in the morning all the time. It's not something that, I necessarily want to do. And I don't force myself to eat breakfast, because sometimes if I force myself to eat breakfast, then I don't eat lunch, and now it waits till dinner, and that means I haven't eaten anything in anywhere from 8 to 11 hours. That's just how I roll. So we're having this conversation about this, and then she says, well, maybe we need to put you on Ozempic. I said, no. Anyone who's seen the news knows about this Ozempic. It's supposed to help you, control your numbers, control your, the readings. My numbers are between 100 and 140. For everyone else, it's between 80 and 120. But I said, well, why do I need that? I've already lost weight. There's people who've been taking it to lose weight. I've lost the weight. I don't need that. And I don't think I need this other thing. Why would I take that? She says, well, that one you only have to take once a week. It's just an injection once a week. I said, I don't want that. Then she starts talking about getting these patches. And I said, why would I need the patch? She says, well, then it automatically just reads your, your numbers all day long. And you can download an app and you can track it. I said, why do I need that? She says, well, it's better to know all these numbers, because I just have this issue with this number, how you're getting this 5.8. And I really couldn't figure out why she was, so much onto this 5.8 thing. And it turns out that her worry was, since I wasn't eating in the morning, I was checking the glucose, putting it in the phone so that I could track it on my own. But she says, you never know. It's by the time you get to lunch, you might be in that position where your glucose is so low that it, you're bordering on crashing or whatever. Because you said that that's when you get hungry and such. Well, I'm thinking I've been hungry in the past and it hasn't meant that I've had a low. I know what it's like to crash. I know what it's like to have a low. It feels horrible. That may have happened only a couple of times when I haven't eaten something in the morning, but it's not a regular thing. And I just thought, this is so wild. Why did she want me to take Ozempic of all things? Why did she want to put this monitor on me? And I don't know. I was there an hour and 15 minutes. And I'm thinking, we didn't really accomplish anything. Just didn't. And then at one point she says, maybe you don't need insulin at all. Now, I'm not necessarily depressed about her saying that, but how did we go from we should put you on Ozempic to you don't need insulin? Someone explain that to me. I don't know. There's these things sometimes where you just have a conversation with a physician. You try to understand them. You hope they understand you. And then when you leave, you're like, okay, that didn't solve anything. I don't understand. And the thing is, this is a clinic. So like I said, she's not the doctor. I see the doctor every once in a while because the doctor wants everyone to come in at 8 o'clock. I'm not going to any doctor appointment at 8 o'clock in the morning. I said maybe 9:30 or 10. I'm not making 8. That's just me. But I still recommend that everybody talk to their physician, try to have these conversations no matter what the issue is, ask questions, make sure they answer the questions that you're asking, get all the information you can, but recognize that every once in a while, you're just not going to have the right communication with somebody, and you need to make them listen to you in some way. Or in certain cases, if you've got something really chronic, you're in a lot of pain, whatever, you need to go see someone else. Because that's a recommendation I make to people I know who have said, I've seen this doctor and I talk about this pain all the time. They send me to someone else. I'm still in this pain. Go see someone else. Pick someone else. That's what insurance is for. I mean, really, nothing says you have to only go to one doctor. How do you folks handle all these things? Do you have any problems with any of your doctors? Do you listen to your doctors? Do your doctors listen to you? Y'all let me know. Oops. My name's Mitch Mitchell. Almost dropped my mouse. My name's Mitch Mitchell. I hope you have a wonderful day.